Marry him, and you marry away from this family. 15 minutes, Simone.
Malik, she's not coming.
Simone Ashworth met Malik Grant during her final year of graduate school, drawn immediately to his quiet intensity and the way he spoke about his molecular biology research like it mattered more than anything else in the world, including himself. Malik had grown up in a modest two-bedroom apartment in East Cleveland, raised by a single mother who cleaned office buildings overnight to keep the lights on, and he carried that history with a kind of unshakable determination rather than shame. Simone came from an entirely different world, the only daughter of Gerald and Patricia Ashworth, a prominent family whose wealth stretched back 3 generations through a real estate development empire her father still ran with an iron grip on every decision, including, increasingly, decisions about his daughter's future. Simone fell in love with Malik precisely because he wasn't impressed by any of it, because he asked about her own research interests in urban public health policy with genuine curiosity rather than calculated interest in her family's connections. Their engagement, after 2 years together, felt to Simone like the truest decision she'd ever made entirely on her own. Patricia Ashworth made her disapproval of Malik clear from their very first dinner together, asking pointed questions about his career trajectory, and visibly recoiling when Malik mentioned his mother's occupation without a trace of embarrassment. Gerald was quieter about his objections initially, preferring instead to arrange for Simone to accidentally encounter more suitable men at family functions, introductions Simone politely declined each time, her commitment to Malik never wavering despite the mounting family tension. As the wedding date approached, Patricia's comments grew sharper, framing Malik's academic research career as impractical and financially unstable compared to the sons of her social circle already established in law, finance, and medicine. Simone defended him consistently, reminding her parents that Malik's research into affordable water filtration systems for underserved communities represented exactly the kind of meaningful work she respected, even if it wouldn't generate the wealth her family valued above nearly everything else. She believed, with the confidence of someone who hadn't yet been truly tested, that her love for Malik was stronger than her parents' disapproval. The morning of the wedding, Gerald requested a private conversation with Simone in the bridal suite, sending everyone else out under the guise of a final father-daughter moment before the ceremony. What followed instead was an ultimatum delivered with calm, devastating precision. If Simone married Malik, Gerald would remove her entirely from the family trust, cut off all financial support and, more painfully, instructed Patricia to make clear that family gatherings, including with Simone's younger siblings, would become significantly more difficult to arrange going forward. Simone sat in her wedding dress, mascara threatening to run, weighing a lifetime of family belonging against a love she'd been so certain about only hours earlier. Gerald left her with 15 minutes to decide, closing the door softly behind him, more confident in his daughter's ultimate choice than he let on. Simone stared at herself in the mirror, the weight of everything she stood to lose pressing down with a force she hadn't fully anticipated, her resolve from months of defending Malik suddenly buckling under the immediate, concrete threat of losing everything familiar all at once. Malik stood at the altar for 11 minutes before the wedding coordinator quietly approached him, delivering the news that Simone wouldn't be coming out, her voice apologetic but firm as she explained Simone had already left through a side entrance. The guests murmured in confused whispers as Malik stood frozen, processing words that didn't fully register until he was already walking numbly back down the aisle alone, past 200 faces he'd never see again. He didn't call Simone that night, or the following week, understanding somehow that pursuing an explanation would only prolong an already unbearable wound. Simone, for her part, sent a single text message 3 days later, a brief, inadequate apology that Malik read once and never responded to, deleting her number entirely that same afternoon. He moved out of the apartment they'd been preparing to share, threw himself back into his research lab with an intensity his colleagues found almost frightening, and told himself, repeatedly, that the humiliation of that day would eventually fuel something more meaningful than the life Simone's family had decided he wasn't worthy of joining. Malik's research into low-cost water filtration technology, initially dismissed by Patricia as impractical and unprofitable, gained serious momentum over the following years as pilot programs in underserved communities began showing remarkable results in reducing waterborne illness rates. He secured significant grant funding, partnered with public health organizations across 3 states, and eventually developed a scalable filtration system that could be manufactured at a fraction of existing costs, directly addressing a public health crisis affecting millions of Americans without reliable clean water access. His work caught the attention of major scientific journals, then national news outlets, as the practical, immediate impact of his research distinguished it from more theoretical academic work. Malik rarely spoke publicly about his personal life during this period, channeling every ounce of energy into work that had become, in many ways, the only relationship he trusted himself to fully commit to anymore. He didn't seek out news about Simone, and largely succeeded in avoiding it, their social circles having diverged completely in the years since that unbearable morning. Simone married Bradley Coleman 2 years after the failed wedding, a corporate attorney from precisely the social circle her parents had always envisioned for her, and settled into a life that looked, from the outside, exactly like the success her family had always defined for her. The marriage was comfortable rather than passionate, built on compatible schedules and mutual social expectations rather than the intensity she'd once felt with Malik, a difference she rarely allowed herself to examine too closely. 10 years after the wedding that never happened, Simone sat in her living room one evening, half watching a national broadcast honoring recipients of a prestigious Public Health Innovation Award, when the camera settled on a face she immediately recognized despite the years between them. Malik stood at the podium, composed and assured in a way she'd always admired, accepting recognition for research that had, according to the broadcast, already prevented thousands of cases of waterborne illness across multiple states. Simone sat frozen, wine glass forgotten in her hand, watching the life her family once called impractical receive a standing ovation from a room full of people who understood exactly what he was worth. Bradley asked, from the other end of the couch, what was wrong, noticing his wife's stillness and the tears she hadn't realized were falling. Simone said only that she recognized someone from graduate school, offering no further explanation, unwilling to unpack a decade-old wound in front of a husband who'd never fully know the shape of what she'd given up. She watched the remainder of Malik's acceptance speech in silence, noting the quiet confidence in his voice, the complete absence of bitterness in how he spoke about the years of work behind the achievement, a grace she wasn't sure she'd have managed in his position. Simone didn't reach out to him that night, or in the weeks that followed, understanding with painful clarity that whatever chance existed for a genuine conversation had likely closed the moment she'd walked out that side entrance a decade earlier. She simply sat with the truth of what her family's approval had actually cost her, a comfortable, socially appropriate life built on priorities she was no longer certain, watching Malik's success from a distance, had ever really been her own to begin with.